Good morning, everyone. I feel honored to be here to make my representation about this a very small topic compared with those issues we talked about yesterday. It's on a macro level, but mine is on micro level. It's quite small issue, but I think it's very important. Why I choose this? Because I've been working in Chinese embassy in Israel from the year 2000-2002 in the consular section. So after I finished my mission from the embassy, I returned to the China Foreign Affairs University and began research and teaching on these consular affairs. And my PhD thesis is also about this issue. So when I was invited to attend the meeting, I think that it's good for me to write something about consular relations between our two countries. As you know, in a globalized world with increasing integration between people across the border, consular affairs as an inalienable part of diplomacy has become more and more important. Some scholars compare consular service as a Cinderella in the limelight. I think that's also the case in China. So consular dimension, including setting up consulates visa policy toward each other, consular consultative mechanism, it's a very good perspective to explore bilateral relations. However, research on this issue is very limited. Not only in China, but in the world as well. So today I'm going to talk about two things. I found some pictures. First is that from the map that we know, we also know without the map that China and India are neighbors and big countries. This is a fact that we could not change. Whether we fight against each other or we cooperate with each other, we are neighbors. So I think the best way is to cooperate. So today I'm going to talk about the consular cooperation. I have two subtitles. One is a brief history, and then is analysis of the current situation. Then I will draw some conclusions. I divided the history of Sino-Indian consular relations into three periods. First is the 1950s to 1960s. India is the first non-socialist country to establish diplomatic relations with the PR China. And in the 1950s, China and India jointly put forward the principles, 5 principles of peaceful coexistence. And at that time, the friendship, between China and India is well known. This is India, I think, is Hindi Chini, bye-bye. I also know to Chinese. And China and India began their consular relations, after they established diplomatic relations. They set up 2 consulates in each other's territory, on each other's territory. For China, it's in Kolkata in 1950 and in Bombay in 1953. And for India, it set consulates in China in 1950 in Shanghai and then in Lhasa. But after, the border clash in 1962, the bilateral relations fall into abyss and it's frozen, since 1962, from 1962 to 1976. In 1976, the two countries began to send ambassadors to each other again and resumed talks. And Indian Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi's visit to China started a new chapter in bilateral relations. The two sides began talks on reopening consulates because during the period when the two countries did not have ambassadors with each other, so the consulates shut down. They're all shut down, So they began talks on reopening the consulates, in 1985. And after 6 years of hard talk, then they reached an agreement in 1991. And they also signed the consular agreements in 1991. And after 2000, with the development of bilateral relations, India and China, foreign ministry, two foreign ministries, had talks, several rounds of talks, consular consultative talks on setting up new consulates and about visa issue and other issues. So in 2015, another agreement about China's set agreement to set up a new consulate in Chennai, but it's still on the paper. This consulate in China has not opened yet. So as to the end of 2016, China has 2 consulates in India, and India has 4 consulates in China, including 1 consulate general in Hong Kong. Then I will make some analysis of the current consular relations between the 2 countries. I will make my analysis from 2 perspectives. First one is consular posts. I will compare the consular posts of each other. And our second perspective is visa policy. From this table, we can know that the number of foreign consular posts in China, the top 15, I mean the 15 countries that has the most number of foreign consular posts in China. First is Thailand. Thailand is a very small country, but it has 9 consular posts, including 8 consulates general on mainland China, one in Hong Kong. And another one is Japan. Although Japan, the relations between China and Japan is not so good in recent years. There are twists and turns. But Japan has 7 consular posts in China. And among these 15 countries, we know that 11 of them are neighboring countries of China. And Chinese consular posts in foreign countries, this is top 15 because after the United Kingdom, several countries has only 2 consulates, so I do not list them all on this table. So the China has the most number of consular posts in Japan, and the second is Russia, United States, and only among these 14 countries, only 6 are Chinese neighboring countries. And how about India? India consular posts in foreign countries. India has 5 in the United States. That's the top one. Then Afghanistan, and the United Kingdom, China is about the same. It has 4, has 4 consulates. And the number of foreign consulates in India, United Kingdom has the most. It's 8. Has 8 consulates general. Not all consular posts, not all of them are consulate general, maybe consular office or other type of consular posts. And then is the United States, Germany, France, Canada, and China is about ranked 6 in this list. So from comparing the number of consular posts of China and India in each other and around the world, we can know that China, many neighboring countries, like Thailand, Cambodia, although they are not big countries, but they have quite a number of consular posts in China. But India, as a big country, because of historical reasons and other reasons, it has only 4 consulates in China. And also for China, it has only 2 consulates in India. As we know, consular posts has many important functions. Some are traditional, but some are new. For example, consular protection, trade promotion, these 2 are very traditional functions of consular posts. But when diplomacy, we emphasize public diplomacy, consular posts can play an important role because the main purpose of public diplomacy is to increase local people's understanding of your country's foreign policy. So consular posts, they are not just they usually they're not in the capital, but they spread around the country, host country. So it's very important. They can have more contacts with ordinary people. So it's important. That's why many countries, although they are small, they spread. They have more consulates in a big country. And I think as two big neighboring countries, China and India, for these two countries, there's a great potential to develop closer consular relations. For example, China can can set up more consulates in India, and India can have more in China, with the increasing number of travelers to each other. And the second part is about the visa policy. This is recent news about the tourism minister of Kerala state was declined by the Ministry of External Affairs of India to get a visa to China. He wanted to attend the tourism conference organized by International Tourism Organization in China in Chengdu. But he cannot get the visa because he cannot get approval from the Ministry of External Affairs. So I think, this is the second time for me to visit India. I made a visit to the Kerala state in 2008. It's very difficult for me to get the visa. I got the visa, I remember. My flight is about 12 o'clock in the evening. I got my visa 5 o'clock, in the afternoon, with the help of my student who is an Indian diplomat. Once I taught him Chinese. So he helped me. He said he can do nothing but wait because he cannot give me visa without approval of the Home Ministry and the Ministry of External Affairs. So he called me, that afternoon, at about 3 o'clock. So I take the subway to the Indian embassy to get my visa. Not from the official window, but from, at his home. He gave it to me. So then I can make my trip to India. So I think that that's I mentioned in my conclusion part. So I will compare the Chinese and China's and the Indians' visa policy toward each other's citizens and toward other countries. By comparison, maybe we can get something. And the visa policy, in 2015, the number of the personnel exchange between these two countries, between China and India, is about 889,000. Among these, 730,000 from India to China, and 160,000 from China to India. We are two neighboring countries with huge population, but the personnel exchange between the two countries is the scale is too small. And that the total number of Chinese citizens traveling outside mainland China reached 0.12 billion. So that means Chinese citizens traveling to India is about 0.013% of the total. So it's quite very, very small fraction of the total. Compared with Chinese citizens traveling to Japan, the number of Chinese visitors to Japan the same year in 2015 reached 4,990,000. That is about 30 times that of the number, of Chinese citizens traveling to India. And China became Japan's biggest source of foreign tourists. And before 2016, and the Indian tourist visa for Chinese, it is not very complex, but we need visa, And then started from 2015, I made a mistake, it's from the July 30, 2015, as a result of the consular consultative talks between the two sides. They reached agreement, and China, the citizens of mainland China, was put into the list of Indians' e-visa. Yeah, that means the tourists from mainland China can apply for e-visa to visit India. That is much more convenient for Chinese tourists. And citizens of the following 3 countries can visit India with all passports without visa. That is Bhutan, Maldives, and Nepal. Yeah, only 3. And the Chinese tourist visa for Indians is more complex. Yeah, the applicants need to submit the following documents to apply for tourist visa. I think if preparing these documents will cost some time. And for China, it only give visa waiver treatment to citizens of 3 countries: Japan, Singapore, and Brunei. Citizens of these 3 countries can visit China. Tourists, only tourists, can visit China and stay in China. China, mainland China, not to include Hong Kong and Macau. They can visit. They can stay on mainland China. I think it's arrival. Give them treatment. You can visit China with a visa on arrival. And the third is hold more consular consultative talks to reach these 2 targets. And the last but not least, as 2 countries with large number of diasporas around the world, maybe during some emergency, we can have cooperation in civilian evacuation. From this picture, you see that China evacuated 35,000 Chinese workers from Libya in 2011 in 2 weeks. And this is an Indian film, very good Indian film, and very popular in China. It's a wrestling dance, you call it, wrestling dance. It has earned 1,295 million RMB at box office in China. It's the first Indian movie that has the box office revenue exceeded 100 million in China. So I think it's great potential, for culture exchange, for the expanding tourism, for have more person-to-person exchanges. I think that 2 governments should work toward this goal, to push the development of bilateral relations. Thank you for your attention.